Hello and welcome to News Feed on Trust TV. I am Sumaya Abubakar, taking you through the stories trending online that people are talking about and sharing around the globe today. President Tinubu meets service chiefs. CBN devalues Naira to 600 per dollars. NLC and federal government's meeting over fuel subsidy removal ends in deadlock. And Ugandan students from 13 universities protest Joe Biden's sanctions and threaten over the country's new anti-gay law. Now, top of what's trending today, we have the President, Bola Tinubu, who met with the service chiefs at the State House in Abuja on June 1st. This is his first meeting with the security chiefs since he assumed office on May 29. In attendance at the meeting were the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Isiaka Amau, and the Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Ghali Baba. Others include the Director General of the Department of State Services, DSS, Yusuf Bichi, and the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, the NIA, Ahmed Rafai Abubakar. At the meeting, President Tinubu said all security agencies must be on the same page and operate with synergy, and also read the Riot Act to the security chiefs. The president also added that the national security has to be coordinated and that he will not accept anything contrary. Speaking to State House correspondent after the meeting, the National Security Advisor Babagana Monguno said all agencies must work to achieve one single purpose. Working at cross purposes and colliding with each other is not something that he will condone, the NSA said. He has made it very, very clear that all the security agencies must comply with the demands of coordination, with the demands of frequent consultations and also timely reports which must be acted on. In his inaugural speech at the Eagle Square on Monday, 29th, President Tinubu promised to prioritize security amongst other pressing areas. A netizen commented, "All this is a lie. You can't give what you don't have. During the election, you caused havoc and thuggery in different states, and now you are promising us national safety and security." Another said, "One of your priorities as a good leader is to make things bearable for the common man. Always put them first." And another wrote, "Tinubu should retire them and appoint young blood. They have overstayed." Next on what's trending, we have the Naira, who has reportedly been devalued by the Central Bank of Nigeria to 640 Naira to a dollar from 461.6 Naira sold at the importers and exporters window the previous day. The Naira was devalued barely 48 hours after President Bola Tinubu announced his plan to unify the country's exchange rate to stimulate the economy. A wide margin between the I&E window and the parallel market, otherwise known as black market, has encouraged round-tripping with Bureau de Change operators. Daily Trust reported that CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele discussed the issue of the exchange rate at a meeting with Tinubu on Tuesday, May 30th. The publication reported that at the resumption of the weekly bidding for foreign exchange shortly, the meeting was held on Tuesday. The Apex Bank sold the spot rate to banks on behalf of their customers at 631 Naira to a dollar, and most bidders got the full amount they requested. A customer revealed that their request was fully granted at 631 Naira as against 461.6 Naira. The move has also since prices at the parallel market trend downwards. Prices dropped from 750 Naira to a dollar in the early hours of yesterday to 745 by evening in Abuja and Kano respectively. From 2020 to 2022, the CBN spent about $42 billion intervening in the foreign exchange market to stabilize the Naira. The amount was sold to the end users, including students and tourists, at the official rate, which are way off the effective exchange rate of the Naira. And according to the Financial Stability Report, a publication of the CBN, the Apex Bank sold $9.2 billion in the market in the first half of last year. A netizen said, "You want the system to work, yet you're complaining about every adjustment and implementation. Should we remain stagnant?" Someone said, "The demands would be low and already parallel market is dragging downwards. A brilliant move." And a guy added, "Good news, we masses have been getting it at 750 Naira. Now that it is devalued, the black market prices will drop, and as time goes on, there will be no parallel exchange rate. Nice move, Tinubu. Win-win for all." Next on What's Trending, we have the meeting between the federal government and the Nigerian Labour Congress over the crisis resulting from the fuel subsidy removal has ended in a deadlock. The meeting, which began at about 4 p.m. at the presidential villa in Abuja on May 31st, had the spokesperson for the president, Bola Tinubu, Dele Alake, NNPC boss, Mele Kyari, CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, and former Edo State Governor Adams Oshiomhole representing the federal government. The organized labor was represented by the NLC National President Joe Ajaero and the President of the Trade Union Congress of the Nigeria TUC, Festus Osifo. After several hours of meeting with the federal government, the NLC demanded that the federal government returned to the status quo by reversing the price of fuel before resuming negotiations with the NLC. The national president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, who criticized the removal of subsidies, said that the NLC has to protect the Nigerian workforce and prefer additional solutions. On his part, presidential spokesperson Dele Alake said the meeting was robust. He added that talks between both parties continues and that the federal government is hopeful that a reasonable consensus will be reached soon. A netizen wrote, Tinubu said it in his campaign that he will remove a fuel subsidy and no matter how long you protest, he won't reverse it. A lady said, subsidy have always been a scam. No going back on that. Just give us a perfect solution, bring fuel price down, but we don't want subsidy. A guy added, but have decisively removed it and he won't go back. What I felt is the NLC should advocate for is how to canvass the government into cushioning the initial hard effect of the removal, maybe by working out wage scale plan, allowances, infrastructural short-term development that will be feasible in a short while. The truth is, even Buhari never included subsidy in this year's budget. But how can we, be spending 7 trillion naira yearly on subsidy and common Nigerians won't benefit? If this administration do the right thing, imagine what extra 4 trillion naira will do in health and education sectors. It's little by little. If anyone is expecting miracle, then you can relocate to La La Land. Next on What's Trending, we have the former governor of Kano State and senator representing Kano Central, Ibrahim Shekarau, who has decried Nigerians' high cost of governance. Shekarau, who sat for an interview with Channels Television on Wednesday, May 31st, asked President Bola Tinubu to reduce the cost of governance by cutting down the number of federal lawmakers. The National Assembly is made up of 109 senators and 360 House of Representative members. He said, left to me, we don't need to have the 2 chambers, the 2 houses. It's costing the country. I agree a democracy means getting as many involved as possible, but the way it is going on now, it's almost 500 legislators nationwide. I don't think we really need this much at the moment. On Tinubu's political will, Shekarau said, I wonder if he will have the courage to do all the constitutional amendments and go through the process and reduce all of this. The former governor also said that cutting the number of parastatals would affect the number of oversight assignments, reducing the burden at the center. He added, then you will discover that the legislative arm will also have to be downsized, because if there isn't much to do at the center, you don't need all of this sea of 100 people really, to do oversight assignments. Unfortunately, we have not had leadership that has the courage. There was the Oronsaye report during Jonathan's time, which has yet to be implemented. A netizen commented, even president we don't need. Okay, the guy said, we don't need it after he lost re-election into the Senate. We don't need it because you are now an ex-senator. All of them are the same. A lady said, we actually need that much and even more for proper representation because of our diversity. The problem is not the number of lawmakers. The problem is their enormous salary. Cut down their ridiculous high salaries and spread that to other government departments. If you hear the wages of drivers in some parastatals under government oil sector, you will be shocked. Now let's take a short break, and when we come back, you will see how someone used a gun to threaten a uniformed personnel. Stay tuned. Welcome back. It's News Feed. A viral video making wave on social media of an angry motorist who cocks and points a gun at a VIO official. While it's unclear what led to the incident, it's been revealed that it took place in Abuja on Thursday, June 1st, 2023. Take a look.
That's a bloody gun. He's ready.
Are you
A guy asked, why hold a gun like that? He need gun training for sure. Should have the gun facing the ground. Someone said, more reasons why the government should not legalize guns. Nigerians have follow-come anger issues. A lady cautioned, and you stood there recording. Accidental discharge now, stray bullets will just hit person and you will all call the devil. Next on What's Trending, we have U.S. President Joe Biden, who took a tumble on stage during Air Force Academy graduation on Thursday, June 1st. The fall happened during the U.S. Air Force Academy graduation ceremony in Colorado Springs, where Biden delivered the commencement address. Biden was helped back up and pointed out that he had tripped over something. Afterwards, he sat down and appeared to be fine. White House Communications Director Ben LaBold later explained on Twitter that the mishap occurred because there was a sandbag on the stage. Take a look at the incident. The lady said, looks like he missed his steps or something like an unforeseen accident. Doesn't happen, it doesn't have anything to do with his age or health. I stand to be corrected though. Someone said, this is a situation that can really happen to anyone. Glad he got up immediately. Here, some people would start ascribing all forms of craziness to support an imaginary theory. Another person wrote, dear Nigerians, did you notice that no American came online to abuse their president? These people are human. Let's all support our leaders generally. It is well with my country. Next on What's Trending, we have Ugandan students from 13 universities who have taken to the streets to protest over U.S. President Joe Biden's threat of imposing sanctions on their country, due to its new anti-gay law. The students from various universities across the country were captured expressing their disapproval of Biden's stance on Uganda's anti-gay law. Chanting slogans and carrying signs, the students made their way in front of the parliament, calling for respect for their country's sovereignty. The Ugandan government has faced criticism after President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda signed a tough anti-gay bill into law that orders the death penalty for aggravated homosexuality, which is defined as same-sex intercourse involving HIV-positive people, children, or other vulnerable people, Politico reported. Biden said this shameful act is the latest development in an alarming trend of human rights abuses and corruption in Uganda. The dangers posed by this democratic backsliding are a threat to everyone residing in Uganda, including U.S. government personnel, the staff of our implementing partners, tourists, members of the business communities, and others, he added. Biden threatened to impose sanctions on Uganda in response to the country's controversial anti-gay law. A netizen commented, Biden, go to North Korea and save those people, from deadly government. A lady said, I was telling my Croatian friend on phone that Africans do not want LGBTQ practices to be promoted in their respective country, and that person didn't believe me. As an African, I know more about our diverse cultures, and homosexuality is not part of it. Another lady said, the US and the UK need to really mind their business. African leaders have been very corrupt, subjecting Africa to poverty. The US and UK didn't intervene and give sanctions. How could they when the poverty in Africa is beneficial to them? But all of a sudden, they all want to give sanctions because of anti-LGBTQ law. If you want to be LGBTQ, no problem. By all means, be yourself. Go to places where it is acceptable. But you see this agenda of wanting to force LGBTQ down everyone's throat is crazy. Non-LGBTQ people have rights to their country, their laws. So UK and US should stay out of their business. Lastly, onto a funny video of a puppy who is really good at ducking. Take a look. Now that is the definition of determination right there. And that is all on Newsfeed today on Trust TV. Follow us and subscribe to all our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Bye.